Hey everyone, welcome back to Crown by KO. My name is Dewan and I'm grateful to have you tuning into this video. Today we're going to be talking about the power of speaking, the power of your words. And if you haven't checked out the last video, this is a continuation of that one. And that one we talked about imagination. Today we're taking it further and talking about the power of speaking, right? And I am extremely excited about this episode because this is a kingdom principle that I practice every day in my life. This is something that has helped me get to where I am today in life. And I'm going to share a piece of that when I talk about how I used it to get my house. So first, we need to understand that when it comes to faith, our imagination is the greatest place to start. Start with imagining it in your head, right? And then when you have that, when you know exactly what you want to experience, when you know how you want to feel, how you want to look, what you want to see, what you want to have, then start to speak it, right? That's that next step. And that's where the power of speaking things come into play. This is a kingdom principle, and these two put together are kingdom principles that I believe are very, very important and foundational to everything we're supposed to do and everything we're supposed to experience in life. And more importantly, it will help you live the crown life. So, the world calls that manifesting, right? They say that you're manifesting the things that you want to see and what you want to have around you. And you're putting it into the universe for the universe to respond and make it happen. Now, they're right. And it works because it is a kingdom principle. But more importantly, it works because it's in the Bible. And that's something that God instituted as a way for the world to function. And he says this in the Bible when in the book of Proverbs, it says that death and life are in the power of the tongue, and those who love it will eat the fruit thereof. Now, before I even go further, I really want to talk about something that really vexes my spirit, something that really bothers me with church people, religious leaders, church leaders, and people who've been brainwashed by religion, is when they say that this is metaphorical, when they say that this isn't real, it's a figure of speech, all of those other things. It's not. This is real. This is true. This is fact. This works. I know it. And so many other people can attest to it. And even the world knows it. See, they say that they're manifesting and speaking those things into existence and putting it in the universe and letting the universe respond. If they can have that much faith in the universe, why can't we have that much faith in the system or principle or key that God instituted for us to be able to benefit and live by? I don't get it. So that bothers me. And I just want to push that out there right now. Because again, this is where religion trips us up and holds us back into really fulfilling our God-given potential. So again, the power to speak death and speak life is real. It's true. It's not a figure of speech. It's not a metaphor. It's not any of that. It's real. It can happen. And you can do it. One, because God said it and he instituted it. But then two, it's also scientifically proven if you aren't one to just take God's word for it. And that leads me to this. When we talk about speaking things into existence and using our words and our speech to impact ourselves or the environment around us, it's scientifically proven. There's been scientific studies that show that positive speech, words of affirmation, motivation, encouragement, all of those things helps a person perform better. It helps a person feel better. Whether it comes from a psychologist, a teacher, a parent, a friend, yourself, a coach, anybody. They will do this and they can do this and it will help you feel better, it'll help you perform better, and it'll help you do better in life in general. But more importantly, now that the scientific community knows this, they're encouraging more and more people to do it. And they're saying if you do this, it works. If you're dealing with this, try this, it'll work. So again, where is the church on this? Why isn't the church encouraging more people to do this and encouraging more people to take advantage of this thing that doesn't cost anything but time and effort and energy, and that is proven to work regardless of what the situation may be? Again, a lost key and something that I believe is holding people back from experiencing what God wants them to experience. So you have to speak things into existence. Now it specifically says death and life are in the power of the tongue. Basically meaning that you are able to speak things into existence with life, so make things grow and evolve, and you're able to use your speech to be a detriment to things in society and to things that are around you and cause it to, become negative and become bad or to decay and all of those things. Remember Jesus with the fig tree. That's what we talked about in the last one. He used his speech to cause that fig tree to perish, right? But then he also turned around and told them that they could use this same speech to build and increase their faith. So when it comes to the power of life and death being in a tongue, you have to think of it this way. The best way to get rid of something or stop doing something is to replace it with something else or start doing something differently, right? And that is exactly what we have to do with our speech. We have to replace the bad things we say, the negative things we say, and how we talk down on ourselves, on other people, or our living environment, or all of those things, and replace that with positive speech. Replace that with declarations and decrees that are positive and building and leads to prosperity versus leading to you feeling like you're helpless and hopeless and there's no other way that life can be for you. Again, this principle is very, very important, and I'm not going to scratch the surface of it in this video, but this is hopefully to give you a start and a building block so that you can take this and learn it for yourself, practice it for yourself, and do it so that it can be proven true in your life the same way that it is in mine and hundreds of other people that I know it's working for. So if we look back on what Jesus was telling them with the fig tree, he started by telling them to have faith in God, or have the God kind of faith in the other translation. But the thing is, he equated it to a mustard seed, faith the grain or the size of a mustard seed. Now, a mustard seed is really, really small, but over time, once it's planted and it grows, it becomes this huge, massive thing, right? And your faith is supposed to be the same way. It may start out small, but the more you exercise it, the more you try it, the more you nourish it, the more you speak positive, the more you do this, do that, the more you will build it, the more it'll grow, and the easier it'll become for you to use it in other instances. So again, Jesus said that if this person, whoever, says to a mountain, be removed, be cast into the sea, believe what they said in their heart and doesn't doubt, they will have whatever they say. Again, faith the size of a mustard seed, but saying something or doing something that big. Speech is powerful, but it also connects to the heart. And that's something we're going to talk about in the next video. But again, speaking is a principle that we have to exercise and that we need to do effectively. So Jesus follows this up by saying that we need to know how to pray. And he says in Mark 11, chapter 24 verse, therefore I say unto you, whatsoever things ye desire, when you pray, believe that you receive them and you will have them. What? It sounds like he's saying double talk, right? So I'm praying, which a lot of us think of praying as asking, and in reality, it shouldn't be. But he says, when you pray, whatever you desire, as you're praying and you're desiring for these things, you're asking for them, believe that you already receive them, right? Believe that they are already yours and you will have them. Now, that principle right there is what the world called manifesting, and it's real. It works. Jesus said it. So if you praying and you have a desire for something, the only thing you need to do is have faith and believe that you already received it. Believe that it's already yours and you will have it. How do you do that? You have to imagine. You have to put that thing in your heart. You have to think about it and think about it enough to where it falls into your heart and it's embedded in you, so that when you think about it, it's literally like it already exists. Like you already have it. Like you're already living with this, or you're already experiencing this in a present world, even though it isn't there. That's how strong your imagination should be. That's how strong your faith should be, your belief should be. And again, in your heart, when you have nothing but belief in your heart, there's no room for doubt, which is why he said, if you believe in your heart and don't doubt, because all of the belief in your heart will take up all of the room. And now there's no way for you to doubt, because the only thing you have is pure confidence and expectation that whatever you're praying for, whatever you're praying about, or whatever you're thinking about and saying is going to come to pass. It's going to happen. You're going to have it. You're going to get it. And I know this seems far-fetched and impossible and just too good to be true, but it's not. It is true, and it is too good. And that's why it's important for me to share it with you, because it's too good to just keep to myself and to allow us to not use it more in our lives when, again, it's so easy. It's so simple. Only thing we have to do is dedicate and train our minds, use our imagination, use our speech, continue to do those things over and over, and imagine ourselves with it. Imagine ourselves imagining ourselves experiencing those things right now and it will come to pass. It will happen. It will come into existence and become our reality. So with that, let me tell y'all how I got my house. And this is my first house, me and my wife. And at the time we were looking, it was late 2012. So the pandemic was in full effect. Students weren't in school in the fall. So everything is remote. I'm in grad school. She's in grad school. We're engaged. So we're planning and saving actively for a wedding, which is going to be in May. So all of these things are going on, and I put it in my heart, and I tell the Lord, I say, I really, really, really want a house. It was my desire. I don't think I've felt this way about anything in a long time. And I was like, I'm going to get that house. And that's what my mind was on. So I put it in my mind, and I said, I want a house. I'm going to have a house. So I started the process. I got my pre-approval letter, got me a realtor, started looking at houses. And we started looking and kept looking because we were looking for months, at least like 6 months, and nothing was shaking. We were offering these people ridiculous offers, like 15, 20,000 over the asking price. I was so serious about getting this house that I took some of the money that we were saving for the wedding and I rededicated or repurposed it for our building fund, our house fund. Like, in my mind, house trumps wedding. And that's how I was willing to look at it. And I even told my wife that, and I mean, that's just how it was, because that's how deep I was into getting this house. That's how much faith I had. That's how set I was on getting this house. And nothing was shaking. Again, nobody was taking our offers. We were trying to leave letters. We were going to visit, trying to talk to owners, everything we could possibly do so that we can get somebody to just accept our offer so that we can get a house. It wasn't working. So fast forward, we telling other people about it, and some is like, okay, keep going, it'll break. And others will discourage you and say, you got a lot going on. You probably shouldn't be trying to do that anyway. I had people in one ear, people in the other ear, but I stayed on what I knew. And actually, it took me stepping back because I was discouraged. I was down. I stepped back and I thought about it like, what am I not doing? I can't be doing something right, because if all things work together for good, then why am I struggling with this? I shouldn't be struggling. I'm not doing something right. And that's how I looked at it myself. And I spoke with my goddad, and one thing that was brought to my remembrance is that there's kingdom keys and principles that you're not using that you can use that will make this process easier. So I prayed and thought, like, what is the kingdom key and principle that I should be using? And it was this: you will have whatsoever you say. If you believe in your heart and don't doubt, have the faith, the grain of a mustard seed. Like, all of these things were brought to me. And I was like, okay, well, then I'm going to do that. So that's what I started doing instead. I started thinking about that house. I started thinking about what exactly I wanted. So I made a list. This is what I want the house to look like. This is how many rooms, how many bedrooms, driveway, garage, all of these things that I said I wanted in this house. And then I sat down and I drew a picture. So I imagined myself having this house. I imagined myself walking through the front door. I imagined myself backing up into the driveway. Like, I imagined myself doing all of these things. And then I started praying and believing and praying and just saying it and imagining it and saying it and imagining it, and kept doing this. And then it got to a point where, again, life and death. So I'm speaking life to one thing. I started to kind of speak death and disregard other things. So if anything came up that my realtor thought we should look at, if it didn't fit this picture that I created of what this house is going to be, I didn't look. I didn't even entertain it. I said, you know what? No, we're good. We're not even going to look at it. So time passing, and boom, it's time for the wedding. So I put everything on pause. Even my realtor was discouraged, like, we should just try again in the summer. So April came, we like, all right, let's put it on hold. And then May, we have our wedding. We got married May 2nd. And then the next day, we're on our honeymoon, get a phone call. And this is what it was. We have this house, and it's yours if you want it. We got a friend, we know a guy. He said he just renovated it. He had all of the paperwork, everything you want, everything you said you wanted. Come see it. He said, if you want it, you can have it. No competition, no overprice. It was the price that we wanted to. No overpricing, no anything. And it was ours for the taking if we wanted it. All because I exercised this principle. All because I spoke it into existence. So that was the best week of my life. Boom. I got married. Boom, we go on the honeymoon. Next day, boom, get a phone call. You have a house. Then we get back from the honeymoon. Boom, graduate, get my master's. Then the next day, boom, go see the house. And then the next day, boom, send in an offer letter, get the offer signed, start the process. Less than a month later, which is expedited in closing time, next than a month later, me and my wife walking into the front door. And I told the Lord, I don't want to have no wife in no apartment. I want to have a wife in a house so I can build a home. So again, I'm not just sharing information here. I'm telling you things that I know work. I'm telling you things that have worked for me and that I know for a fact will work for you, because it's a kingdom principle. There is no stopping principles from working. This is a spiritual law, and there's no way a spiritual law won't work because God instituted it. And there is no failure in God, and his word will never return to him void. So if you're using it in prayer and faith and all these things, then it should happen. And if it's not, I caution you, or I ask you to re-examine yourself. Again, reflect on what you're doing. That's what I did with the house. Okay, what am I doing wrong? It has to be me at this point. And in reality, it kind of was, because what's the chances of those happening, right? Of that happening? As soon as I change how I'm going about the process, what I'm believing for, what I'm having faith for, what I'm doing in general, then everything just works out like that. Come on, it was God. It was the power of speaking. It was the power of imagination. It was these kingdom principles and keys that has helped me build this crown life that I have now and that I'm still building, because this is what God wants us to have. He wants us to experience things that are good. He wants us to live peaceful lives. So if I'm struggling, if I'm battling and coming up against something, then it isn't of God. And I need to figure out what exactly to do to change that. And that's what I did with this. So my final point that I want to leave you all with is that you have to speak it. You have to speak these things into existence. Use your words. They are powerful. They have the power to build life and to tear things down. And whatever you like, whatever or however you use your words and your imagination, I promise you your life is a representation of that. And that's what I'm going to talk about in the next video. So again, make sure you're speaking things into existence. Make sure you're imagining it and placing that in your heart and thinking about it so much that it becomes deeply embedded in you and who you are and what you want to experience, to the point that it is your reality now. Even though it's not physically there, you know it's yours. You know that you already have it, and you're living and going about life according to that truth, to that reality, or to that imagination that you're acting on, and then it'll eventually become reality. So speak it. Speak it and believe it. Believe it and speak it. And believe that you already have it. And I promise you, it'll come. So with that, I hope this video was helpful. So make sure you like it, comment, share it, subscribe to the page, all of those good things. And like I always say, if you don't ever hear another video, if you don't listen to another word I say, just please, 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 please remember this. The purpose of life is to live. All right? Until next time.